Christiaan Bettridge grew up swimming in shark-infested rivers on the central north coast of Australia. Her childhood of swimming training and competitions and full-time musical theatre schooling eventually led her to become a resident dancer at the famous Moulin Rouge in Paris at just 18 years old. When relocating to the UK, she had a baby and enjoyed chilling, teaching ballet and being a mama before turning her energies to becoming a stunt woman. Her rapid rise through stunts has led her to lead doubling for Gal Gadot in the Wonder Woman and Marvel film franchise, amongst others. Please welcome the enigmatic Christiaan Bettridge.
The greatest showwoman.
I always start off just by saying thank you for coming, for taking the time to come and let me interview you and talk with you.
No, thank you for having me.
Pleasure. So you were at... Am I allowed to say the Marvel's cast and crew screening last night? No, I'm not allowed to say.
Oh.
Is it coming out soon?
Yeah, actually it comes out on the weekend, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you were at the first casting
My
crew.
initial reaction was like, no.
Yeah. I was like, oh no, is that like
No,
hush-hush
yeah.
information?
No, sorry. Of course you can, yeah.
Okay, cool. So you were at the cast and crew party last night, or screening?
Screening,
and party.
yeah.
Was there a party afterwards?
Not that I know of. I wasn't
really.
invited if there was.
Ah,
but
okay. Right.
There might
How
have been.
rude.
Yeah.
But your fiancé, you're engaged, right? You're not
Yeah.
married yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you two, he is also a stunt performer. So I was thinking, I was just sort of like thinking in my head when I was coming in on the train, like, so when you guys like come home after work and you've both been, stunting as you do, do you just find it funny? Because I think, like, from the outside, I feel like people would find it funny. Like, in my head, I was having this conversation, like, between the two of you. Like, one's like, oh, hey, babe, how was your day? Oh, yeah, it was good. I just, like, jumped off a couple of buildings. How was your day? Oh, yeah, it was good. I just, like, swam through a pool of sharks, the usual. And then you just look at each other and be like, like, that's just a normal day at work. But is it like that? Please tell me it is.
It is a little bit. It is kind of, we are very, we kind of talk all day anyway, especially if there is a big stunt that we're doing. We always text each other to say, just did this, everything went fine, I'm all good.
Oh,
So we
nice.
we always check in with each other during the day. But yeah, it is very much, I haven't thought about it until you just said it, but we come home and talk about, oh, I fought this person and then this person had to jump through a window or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a bit like that. But I don't know. I think we're just so used to it now that it's just life. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, I just wanted to ask that because I feel like for the general population, it's just a funny thought.
Yeah.
To think, like, what did you do at work today? I think also because, like, a couple of months ago, so Harley, my husband, is a stunt man. But yeah, when he came home from his day at work and it was like, oh, what'd you do today? Oh, yeah, I was just set on fire for 30 seconds, and he showed me the
So what's
video
for
and it's
dinner?
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's for dinner? I'm like, oh, yeah. Spaghetti. Whatever.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Anyway, I would like to start at the beginning of your journey because you've had a really interesting journey. So I wondered, back in childhood, what sort of like sparked your interest either in physical sports, or did you start with dance, or like was there always an interest there? Do you feel like you kind of always lent into that?
Yeah.
How did it start?
Yeah, I always danced, but I grew up, my two things were swimming and dancing.
Oh, cool.
So I actually was a lot better at swimming than I was at dancing. So I loved it and I will always love it. But I competed really highly in swimming.
Right.
But I think I just always loved dancing more. And so it kind of got to a stage in my life where I had to choose between swimming and dancing, and I chose dancing.
Right.
But not just dancing, singing and acting and all that kind of stuff, because musical theatre really was my passion.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was sort of...
And did you, because you grew up on the Gold Coast, which is the nice, warm, sunny part of Australia, did you surf as well as swim? Like, was that part of your sort of upbringing?
Not
like,
really.
Were you near the beach or?
No. We actually lived on a river. So I
cool.
spent all of my childhood in the water, but
Yeah.
in a shark-infested river instead.
Right. So it was a saltwater
Yeah.
river, like an inlet from the beach.
Yeah,
Ah.
yeah.
And there was sharks in the river.
Oh yeah, we used to
Oh my God,
catch them
that's
when we
such a,
went
like-
fishing.
Australia, you know, like
Yeah.
our foreigners are so scared to come to Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got sharks in our rivers. Be careful. I love that. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy
Yeah.
though. Thinking back on it, I can't believe that my mum and dad just let us go.
Swim in there.
Yeah, we were always in the river, and then
Yeah.
someone down the road is catching bull sharks on their fishing rod. Like
Oh my gosh.
it's crazy.
It is crazy. That's what makes us
bizarre.
tough. That's why you're a
Exactly.
stunt woman. 'Cause you're like, I'm not scared of anything.
I don't know about that. Yeah, but
I love that.
yeah.
Awesome. So
can't remember
yeah,
what I was going for.
so swimming and dance, and then you got into musical theatre. Did you have like any idols or heroes, or like did you ever watch, you know, something on a movie or see a show that you were like, oh my gosh, I want to like be on stage, or anything like that you remember sort of triggered or inspired you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's. I can't remember the triggering point. But, you know, I always had my heroes like Bernadette Peters, and I loved Rhonda Birchmore. You know, just the sort of Broadway stars. I loved anything musical theatre. My mum used to buy me like video cassettes all the time.
Yeah.
And I would just watch them religiously. And yeah, so I just sort of always loved it. But I don't think there was a sort of triggering point that made me go, this is what I want to do.
Right.
And I loved Uma Thurman. Always loved Uma Thurman.
Yeah.
She was
Amazing.
a big hero of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. So when you were a kid, you said there came a point where you had to choose between swimming and dance. So I'm assuming you had a pretty rigorous schedule, like training, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, or were you doing like performances with the dance and musical theatre, like through your teen years?
It was a lot. It got to a stage where I was up at 5 every day because I would have swimming training before school. So, you know, 2 hours or whatever.
I remember
before.
friends at school who were swimmers who would do that. They'd get to school and I'd be like, oh my gosh, you got up at 5 to do swimming. Like,
I used to sleep in my swimmers so that when I'd wake up, my mum would just put me in the car and I'd eat breakfast on the way to swimming.
God, that's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I used to train in the morning. I'd go to school straight after school because back then we finished at 3. So straight after school, I'd go back to swimming. And then after swimming to dancing, and then from dancing home to have dinner, homework, anything like that. But
How
that
many
was
days a week would you do
5
that?
days a week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How many years did you do that for?
A few years. I'd say 2, maybe 3 years, and then Saturday dancing as well. Obviously, Saturday my whole day was just dancing.
Wow.
And then when I can't remember, I was 12, maybe I'd just turned 13. Was when I left school to just go full-time dancing, and then I just didn't have time for swimming.
So were you in like a performing arts school, so you got to like dance all day and then you did homework sort of on the side, or?
I went to a ballet school, so I was doing ballet from 7 till 3, and then it was a bit of a weird ballet school. It's that classic old school ballet school that
How was it weird?
So when I went to the ballet school, it was always with the knowledge that I was doing this to better my dancing for musical theatre. So my goal was never to be a ballerina. It was always to go into musical theatre. So outside of it, I was still doing musical theatre school, but I wasn't supposed to be doing that. So it was a
Did
big
they
secret.
Sort of look down on?
Yeah.
They wanted you to be ballerina, like focused.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting. So you're the rebel ballerina.
Yeah. It was. I hated it because I don't actually like ballet, but I knew that I needed it. So that was again. I just had no time for anything. I was going to ballet school, straight from ballet school to musical theatre school at night. Every day of the
How
week.
did you fit in school? Like, did you have to do school exams and stuff?
I didn't really. I think that sort of got put to
It's like a scholarship type thing, like scenario, like if you're a sports person. I don't know, I'm just thinking like in America you get to just do sport instead of like all the assignments.
To be honest, it was a little bit naughty. I was supposed to do homeschooling and I tried to do some on the weekend, but I didn't really. And my mum had 2 other kids, you know, so she like it was just.
Where are you in the line?
In the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, so
you just got forgotten about.
Well,
you were doing
just
what
my
you
schooling. Yeah, I mean, I was so fortunate. You know, my mum drove me everywhere, but in terms of schooling, I basically didn't really do anything from the age of about 13. So which is really naughty. But it's not my parents' fault. It's totally my fault. They
I don't
trusted me to
know.
do it, and I didn't do it. But
Yeah, right.
so,
I think it's debatable though, isn't it? Because I don't know, there's lots of questions I have around the schooling system anyway, you know, and like
Yeah.
different personalities. Like clearly you're a physical person and you need to do physical things to like feel fulfilled, and you know, like that's why you've lent into that as your career path. So, yeah, it's just that
I think it was meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's lots of things that I feel like I didn't know, but that's a whole nother tangent.
Yeah.
I think.
Right. As long as you can read and write.
Exactly.
do
Yeah.
basic
And I love
multiplication.
reading, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, so you were dancing and musical theatering, and then I believe you went and performed in the Moulin Rouge.
I did.
Paris?
When I was 18, I got offered a place at the Moulin, which was.
How did that work? Like, did you send a video audition, or did they have scouts in Australia?
It was kind of a long process. So the first time I actually auditioned for the Moulin Rouge, I didn't get through, but I think I was about 15 or something.
Right.
And then I auditioned a couple of years later when I was 17, and for some reason they just liked me more when I was 17. And they said, you know, let us know when you're 18, and you know, you can come and audition again, rah, rah, rah. And I was like, cool, sweet. So actually,
So did that happen in Australia? The
Yeah.
audition? Okay.
Yeah.
So they came over. Like, do they send scouts over to audition people?
The head of the Moulin Rouge does tours around. I think Australia, Canada, maybe Europe.
Right.
Yeah, they go everywhere
know
to
that.
audition girls. Yeah. But then when I was 17, I was working in Korea, and my contract was ending there, and I just turned 18. And so I emailed them and said, look, I'm in Korea, you know, can I fly to Paris and audition? Because I know that I've missed the Australia auditions. Oh, no, actually, they emailed me and said, are you coming to the auditions? And I said, no, because I'm in Korea, but I can fly to Paris quickly to see you if that's all right. So I did. I finished my contract. I flew to Paris and stayed with a friend for a couple of days, and auditioned, and they offered me a spot
There and
on the
then.
day. Yeah. But the contract didn't start till October, and that was, I think, September or something. So I had to go home for a month, and then went back in October when I was 18, and then lived in Paris for a year and a half-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
And was that shows like 6 nights a week, 7 nights a week?
6 nights a week. So you get one day off.
Yeah.
2 shows a day. It's pretty. I mean, I'd say it's brutal, but I think it's not too brutal, because an hour and a half show, it's 3 hours of work a day. You know, I wouldn't say that it's the hardest job in the world, but it was enjoyable. I had a great time, you know.
Yeah. So you did the can-can. I've been to the Moulin Rouge, like a show there once.
Oh,
so
yeah?
I saw, like, you know, the ensemble numbers and things like
Yeah.
that. But I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it. I don't care what anyone says. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely, it's iconic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You go there and...
Totally.
Yeah.
The theatre and the whole
Yeah.
experience and champagne and, all the guests. Like, did you ever have some, I don't know, any... Like, because there's always like circus guests and special dance acts and things like that.
Yeah.
Is there any that stick out in your mind, just like that you were just really blown away by, like a magician or just a particular act?
I can't remember. I know there was always a juggler, and there was a man that had a dog that would talk. So he had
It's like ventriloquist or...
that's it. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But his dog had a little mouthpiece, so
Right.
he would sort of be pressing a button, and the dog would be talking with the little mouthpiece, and that
Right.
I remember the audience always loved that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one. I can't remember the other acts because they used to change a lot as well.
Yeah.
It was such a long time ago. I feel like it was a lifetime
Another
ago.
life.
Yeah.
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 And what was, I don't know, what was your favourite part about that time in your life, like living in Paris? How was the language barrier for you? Like, did you sort of learn on the fly while you were there? Because obviously you can't have to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I actually started getting lessons while I was there. So I had a tutor that would come and teach me, my friend. So that helped a lot. But actually, most people in Paris speak English. So I never found it difficult, really.
Yeah.
We were kind of spoilt in that way, in that we weren't forced to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I wish that we were. You know, I wish that we sort of were thrown into the deep end almost, because then I'd speak
Yeah.
better French. But
Yeah. I think it's like that in most European cities, right? Like
Yeah.
Berlin, everyone speaks English.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Did you ever get like special treatment because you're one of the Moulin Rouge girls? You know, like around Paris, like was it known you just like go into
Yeah.
clubs and like get free drinks, or was that kind of the vibe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was very like that. Although I wouldn't say that I was. My friends were very beautiful, and they were very striking girls and beautiful. And I wasn't one of those girls. So it wasn't that I personally was invited to these things. I was always just the tag along
With them.
with them.
I
'Cause
mean,
they
you are
were
very
invited.
beautiful as well.
Oh no, I mean they are just such beautiful girls, and so yeah, it wasn't ever really that I was invited places, but yeah, there is a sort of, I don't know what it is, some obsession that they have with the Moulin girls.
Yeah.
They love it, and yeah,
Well,
we would go
tall,
to clubs
leggy,
and they would say it
gorgeous.
over the speaker.
Oh, really? Like they're in
the
the
Moulin
house?
Rouge girls are in their
Oh,
house.
really?
And, yeah, it was crazy.
I love that.
Yeah, you kind of become a very minor celebrity,
Yeah.
which is bizarre.
Yeah. And how is it like the relationship between the girls? You know, is there, I don't know, was there like bitchiness, or was it generally like a sisterhood, like a good community, or?
At the Moulin, it was actually really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I don't know whether it's because the girls were a bit younger, or whether it's most of them are Australian. Well, when I was there,
Oh, really?
they were. Yeah, so
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah, so it was actually always a really nice environment, and there
Mhm.
was a sense of camaraderie all the time. So if one girl
Mhm.
was doing soloist or principal, whatever,
Mhm.
everyone was really supporting her, and
Awesome.
there was the odd, if someone wasn't a nice person, obviously no one else is going to support them, but that there was none of that sort of cliche dancer
Like,
bitchiness.
yeah, yeah.
And, yeah,
Like Black Swan. I mean, even though it's a
yeah,
figment, but that's sort of the two, vying for
yeah,
the best spot or whatever.
exactly. Yeah, no, it was very, it was really nice, and I still have amazing friends from there.
Yeah.
It was just all the girls were really lovely.
Yeah.
I was very lucky.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's awesome. Yeah. I love hearing that. 'Cause
Yeah.
It should be like that. We
Oh,
should
100%.
support each other. Like,
Yeah.
women are awesome, and
Yeah,
there's space for everyone. So.
exactly. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
I love that. So have any of your friends from the Moulin like, gone on to be stunt women like you?
I know one friend, but we weren't at Moulin at the same time.
Mhm.
But she was also a Moulin dancer, but she's a stunt woman now as well.
Okay.
But no, I think I can't think of anybody else that did that actually.
Like out of your cohort.
No, yeah, no. I think some of them are still there, and then some of
Really?
them, yeah,
Like still dancing there.
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Like, I mean, how many, like 12 years later?
yeah.
13? Yeah.
That's kind of the way it is, I think, though, with those sorts of cabarets.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't. No, yeah. I don't know. I would have assumed that the contracts would be, they'd refresh the girls or the cast
yeah.
every couple of years. But
Well,
Yeah.
they do. So obviously
Yeah.
girls leave and everything, but
yeah.
they I don't know. It's a nice lifestyle though, so it's very
Yeah.
easy to sort of, not easy as in they're taking an easy way out, but
No.
it's addictive because you get to be in Paris all day and you get
Yeah.
to
Do this fabulous show.
exactly
Yeah.
yeah. So once you get there, a lot of people just realize this is what I love and they stay
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, it's cool.
I love that.
I wasn't one of those people, but
No. Why did
Yeah.
you leave?
It's kind of a long story, so it
Mhm.
may get cut out.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Ready? Should we get
Yeah.
coffee, please? Yeah. No.
Yeah. But it was so when I got to the Moulin Rouge, you get a year contract.
Mhm.
So mine was starting to run out, and but we were talking about renewing it, and close to that sort of renewal stage, my friend had said to me, "I really want to go audition for the Lido," which was
Mhm.
another cabaret
Oh,
in
yeah.
Paris.
The opposition.
Yeah. And I
competition.
said, yeah. And I said,
Mhm.
I don't want to go. And she said, well, just come with me because otherwise I'll be on my own.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really don't want to go. Anyway, so I went with her and I auditioned, and the whole time I didn't want to be there. I didn't smile. I didn't do anything. Like, I wasn't there for me. I was there for her.
Yeah.
And And you know at auditions how they rotate lines?
Yeah.
I stayed at the back the whole time. I didn't rotate
Right.
with my line. Like I
Really?
had no intentions of leaving the Moulin.
Right.
And anyway, so I got through to the end, and then they offered me a job, and I was like,
Did they offer her a job?
what? No.
So awkward.
I know. And she was so much more suited to it than I was, in my opinion. But
Right.
but yeah, so they offered me a job and at a higher sort of position than what I was at the Moulin.
Right.
I thought, oh, that's crazy. So I went back to the Moulin and I said, look, I've been offered this job. I guess my question is, do you see me going any further here? Because, you know, you start at the bottom and then you move up. And I said, you know, do you see me going any further, or is it worth me going there and basically getting a pay rise and a raise? And they said, well, you know, we want you to stay, and we definitely want you to move up. And because I was 18, I think, still at this stage, and they said, but I hope this isn't too much for your podcast. But
No,
they said,
not at all.
we're just going to wait for your boobs to grow.
I knew you were going to say something
Yeah.
about boobs, because I was like, gonna ask, did you have to
Yeah.
do the topless
Yeah.
stuff? Yeah.
And I thought, I'm 18.
Yeah.
I don't know how much bigger you think they're going to get.
Yeah.
You know? And so it kind of dawned on me that if I go to the Lido, I'll be more appreciated for my talent rather than the size
Tits.
of my breasts.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then I called up Lido and I said, I'll take the contract.
Yeah.
Even after that, she was still trying to make me stay, and she was saying, you know, we'll teach you this and we'll teach you that, but as soon as your boobs come through, you can do those positions. And I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, like,
you know,
I'm a fully grown
I'm technically
adult.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's not that it might have changed now, but that was just the way it was when I was there. So it's not to say that it's still like that, but definitely that was my experience. It's not sort of, it was my experience.
Yeah.
And then so then I went to the Lido and they didn't care about that.
Yeah.
But it was funny too, because on my last night at the Moulin, it's sort of a tradition when you're leaving that you do one dance in whatever position that you want to do, if that person's willing to give it up. And the soloist at the time was very kind and let me do one of the dances. So I went on stage topless,
Yeah.
and everyone said, "You look exactly like the other soloist." I was exactly the same size as the other soloist.
Yeah.
So it was just sort of, I don't know, in their head that I was too small, but actually I was exactly the same size as the other girl,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So that's sort of
It
why
is
I
crazy.
left. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not bitter about it at all. I think it was meant to happen for sure, because otherwise I would have gotten addicted to the lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think it was meant to be that way, and I'm not bitter. I had a great time there. I had a wonderful time, and the people
Yeah.
are lovely. So
Yeah.
it's just the way it is, really. Yeah.
And how long did you stay at the Lido then after that?
9 months I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I terminated my contract early because I was just didn't enjoy it. Yeah.
Was it not as fun? Like, how was it different to Moulin? I've not been to the Lido, so I don't know. what the
It's a
shows are
beautiful
like.
show, a really beautiful show, and the girls are beautiful. I think it just wasn't for me. You know, some it's just things that some people like it, some people don't. I just found that it wasn't for me, that show and that sort of group of people they just weren't my type of people. So
Yeah.
I left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so after that, you went back to Australia.
Yeah.
Just one last thing on that. Did you have any funny, like stage, like costume failures or anything like that, or any funny stories from either of those shows?
I don't know. I think there was always costume failures.
Yeah,
You know, things
I
that.
bet.
Yeah, or your wig comes off or whatever.
Yeah.
I think one of our favourite things to do was, because in the opening dance you rip your pants off, and my friend his position was next to me, and every now and then he would, just before, as the curtains were opening, just before the lights would come up, he would rip the side of my pants.
Right.
So I was having to do the entire start of the first dance with half my pants hanging down and
Right.
trying to sort of hold them up. That
Right.
was like that was just something that they used to do, and that we
Right.
used to do to each other. Or
used to do it to him as well.
yeah,
Like, be
or
like,
no, not to him because his pants didn't do it.
all right.
Or if you were standing side
Cheeky
stage,
devil.
yeah, there's just little things like that. Or you
Yeah.
like before you run on stage, you wipe someone's lipstick so that they were
Alright.
trying to
Oh,
fix
no.
it as they were going on stage, and yeah,
Classic.
there's always things like that. It was just you
Yeah.
know, just to make it fun because you do the
That was
same thing every
playful.
night, you know.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
But
bet
yeah.
you just get to know that choreography like the back of your hand.
Yeah,
like you don't even
exactly.
think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
I love that. What a cool thing to have done, like at that age too. I love that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. So moving on, what was the sort of like time frame between, finishing up in Paris and then how did you get into stunts, or what sort of like, how did you pivot into that?
Sorry, I keep drinking water.
No, you're good. I'm going to have some too, actually.
So when I left Paris, I knew that I wanted to come to England actually because I wanted to go to musical theatre school.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of came back with the intention of working and saving money to come here because I knew that it would be super expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got a normal job at a theme park
Mm-hmm.
and realised actually that I loved it. I just loved being normal. It's my first
Mm-hmm.
normal job. I'd never, I'd been working
Mm-hmm.
professionally since I was 15 and it was my first just normal job.
Mm-hmm.
And I really loved it. I made some great friends and it was really cool.
Mm.
But while I was working there, I met some stunt people because there was a stunt show there.
Of course.
Yeah.
Which one were you at, like Dream World or
Movie World.
Movie World? Cool.
But I had no idea about stunts.
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue what it was about or anything. So then I was sort of introduced to it, but had no intentions of trying it out or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met my daughter's father, and he was a stuntman,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Yeah, this is what I do," and I was like, "Oh, that sounds really cool."
Yeah.
And I thought maybe that's something I could train to do. Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
And then I got pregnant, so that was out the window very quickly.
Right.
So then after I had my daughter, I started training, broke my wrist.
Oh, really?
So then took
Like early
another.
on? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not stunt training though. I was still
Oh.
teaching ballet,
Right.
and I fell over at ballet and broke my wrist, which
Really?
is really embarrassing.
It's weird how those injuries happen though. It's like
Yeah.
when you like stand up and you're like, oh my God, my back just went out and I did nothing. Just
Yeah.
stand up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh God.
Yeah, it was really embarrassing. And then I started training after that, and then, long story short, too late. I came to England for my visa,
Mm-hmm.
and I was only here for a week,
Mm-hmm.
and auditioned for Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah.
and that was kind of the start of my career, really.
Yeah.
That was it. So yeah, that's how I got into stunts. It was kind of organic. I mean, I did get on the register in Australia, on the Australian
Yeah.
stunt register, but I've actually never really worked there. My first movie was Wonder Woman. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Amazing.
that's
I love that. It's kind of like the universe just went, this is what you're going to do now.
it.
We're just
Yeah,
going to give you this.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
so lucky. It's just crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you've lead doubled Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman, Red Notice, Justice League, and Heart of Stone, as well as being a stunt performer in The Marvels and Locked In. I don't know that film.
It hasn't come out yet. No.
Okay.
That's why.
I found it on IMDb.
Yeah, okay. Yes, you've done a lot of research.
Yeah. I like to be prepared. So what has been your favourite shoot and why?
I think, Wonder Woman will always just have a, place in my heart. Because the first Wonder Woman was, it was my first movie. And I wasn't the lead double on that. I came...
You were one off though, weren't you? With the other...
Yeah, I was a double. I wasn't the lead double though.
Yeah.
To be fair, I brought nothing to the table on that movie.
I'm sure you're talking yourself down, but yeah.
No, I honestly didn't. I came in and they trained me the whole shoot. From 8 till 6 every day, they were just training me and teaching me. And, I was basically being paid to be taught how to be a stunt performer, and which still blows my mind, and
Yeah.
by some of the best in the industry, you know.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, it was a bit of a whirlwind. So that, I mean, I did love that. I had such an amazing time, and I learned so much. I mean, I learned everything, you know. But then the second Wonder Woman, that was my first real time being the lead double, and I just loved it. I mean, in my personal life, I was having the worst year of my life, but in terms of my career, it was just, our team was so wonderful, and it was, I learnt so much. I sort of had to keep saying, can I do this stunt, please? Can I do this? Can I do this? And I just learnt so much on that movie, but with such amazing people that I really just adored. So I think that will always have a really special place in my heart. And also, you know, being in Washington, D.C., where no one is allowed to film there. They shut down Pennsylvania Avenue for us.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Yes, which is amazing, because they never do that. So I'm just really grateful that I had the opportunity to do that, you know, because it's amazing. So I was really, really lucky. Yeah.
Is that the first time? Because I know I've seen like pictures of you like on a wire and like flying through the air and the Wonder Woman pose and stuff. Is that where you did all that wire work?
There was a lot of wire work there. It was mostly the running down the street down Pennsylvania Avenue. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing a video of that.
But yeah, that was that day, and we can only do it in one day. We had one day to shoot that
On Pennsylvania
Avenue.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was so hot. I've never been so hot in my life.
Really?
I feel like my suit was just full of sweat. It was
really
disgusting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's the suit? Is it like rubber or
I don't know what the material is.
thick
It's
latex?
kind of,
Like
I don't know what it is. It's hard but soft.
yeah, maybe latex.
that make sense?
Like plasticky, but it
Yeah.
can bend, but it looks like metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just painted beautifully.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's quite comfortable. It's not the most uncomfortable thing I've
So
ever
how
worn.
did you have to get someone to like pull it off? Like it's full of sweat sticking to me, or did it come off really easily?
No, I mean, it's like a corset, so they
Okay.
undo it at the back.
Right.
But I do remember when they undid it, just so much sweat going into my underwear.
Right. Oh,
it
yeah.
was
Oh, lovely.
it was so disgusting. I was so sweaty.
Yeah.
And my wig was just wet on my face by the end of the
Wow.
day. It was gross.
Yeah.
But you know, it was, you know, I'm very grateful for the experience, because it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome. So what's been like we could divide this up, but they might all come into one, but like the coolest stunt and or the scariest, like what stunt have you done that made you feel the most nervous?
I don't really know. I can't think of anything in particular. I'm not a huge fan of heights. So for me, anything that's up high, which has been predominantly my career, is quite terrifying for me.
Right.
But you know, it's just something you sort of have to overcome. So I'd say anything up high is
Like
quite scary
including
for
on the
me.
wire, because when you're up,
Yeah.
you know, and you're dangling and
Yeah.
you're just relying on that one wire, like carabined.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say anything like that I find a bit scary. But you know, I'm not an adrenaline junkie. I'm not
Yeah.
one of those stunt performers that's skydiving
Like-
or anything like that. Yeah,
Right.
that's not what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I can't really think of anything in particular.
Has there been anything really cool that you're like, oh yeah, like you were saying before, you're like, oh, can I do that stunt? Can I do that stunt? Is there something in particular that you're like, I really want to do that? Like that's really cool.
I don't know. I've kind of done lots of things that I wanted to do, like getting smashed through pillars and things like that. That sort of
Yeah.
always seemed to me
Like being jerked back on a wire.
Yeah, to me that was always, that's what
Like
stunts
the
do.
classic stunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Move or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were sorts of the things that I had to be like, can I please do this? Because I wanted the
Yeah.
experience to do it, you know. And
Yeah.
so that was pretty fun. I remember in Wonder Woman getting smashed through that pillar, and the camera guy, the pillar kind of got stuck, and it came down, and it almost hit the camera guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
which was a little bit scary.
Yeah.
But that was just such a cool moment. I really liked doing that stunt, because I'd never
Yeah.
done that before.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, scary wise, I think anything you do for the first time is scary.
Yeah.
In my opinion. For some people, it
Yeah.
might not be. But for me personally, it's always, you know, you're always a little bit sort of unsure, and you like it is
Yeah.
a little bit scary doing it for the first time.
Yeah. How do you like deal with that, like manage? Because I can relate to that, you know, even the adrenaline you get when you've gone on stage, or like when, you know, for me, like when I've had to sing for the first time, or like do a dance performance, or, you know, even just like sometimes teaching, like winging it, like called up last minute, like, can you fill in here? And you got to talk to all these people, and it's, your heart's kind of going, okay.
Yeah.
Do you have like, I don't know, like a technique, or, you know, even breathing, or like how do you manage fear, or when you feel like, okay, here we go? Because I know a lot of stunt performers talk about, like, particularly when you're on a wire, you know that it's going to be 3, 2, 1 action, but you're basically just like, okay, and now brace. Because you don't know, you can't like predict necessarily, like if you slightly pivot off the mark or whatever. Like, what do you have, like a self-talk, or like a breathe or a focus technique that you do like in those moments?
I don't really know what my technique is. I know that I get very focused. So people, sometimes people make fun of me because I can get very focused, especially when it's something that's new or something that I find a little bit scary. But I don't know. I tend to just sort of, I definitely have to take control of my breathing. And then I don't know, I just focus on my body. And I actually, that something I do is I always stop and close my eyes and I visualize it. So I'll talk to myself and I'll say, you know, whatever it is, like out in what, you know, and I say that over and over again, so that when I do it, it's just sort of second nature. But yeah, I have to visualize something before I do it, which actually I learned from a friend of mine. She taught me that. And that helps me a lot. But yeah, it's just sort of, I can't say what it is specifically that helps me to master that fear. But yeah, I think just being focused and trusting the people around you as well. You have to trust your team. You know?
Definitely. And I feel like, because it sort of makes me think of dance, because even in stunts or any sort of physical performance, I guess people might not necessarily realize, but when you are doing those action beats, it is like a choreography. Like you said, like you're like out in, okay, brace to the left. That is a choreography. And like, because of your dance background, it's like making that sort of muscle memory, or, you know, even if you visualize it, because with dance we do that all the time, like visualizing choreography and you know where you are on stage next and all of that. So
yeah, for sure,
that makes sense.
Yeah. But it is basically choreography. It's,
have you ever had like a wire gag or anything like that where you've been like, oh fuck, I wasn't ready for that, like, or you've gotten hurt, or
not really. I mean, some things really hurt, you know. There's no sort of denying that.
Have you ever been left like, just give me a minute, I'll be up in a sec?
Yeah, there's a couple of spanks where I've been like, spanks. I'm good, just give me 1 second.
Just need to, like, my eyeballs need to come back into my skull.
Yeah. There was one thing I did recently, and it wasn't the most comfortable thing I've ever done. And I remember I did it a few times, and I came up, my friend came over and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really don't want to do it again."
Yeah.
But I'm okay. I'd prefer if that was the last take of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's, you know, for the most part, you kind of know it's going to hurt. But you sort of have to be prepared for that, you know.
Yeah.
Which is something that I learnt. I think I always had this mentality that if you knew how to fall, when you know how to fall, it doesn't hurt anymore. You feel nothing. That's not true. It still hurts. You just know you're not going to break a bone or whatever. You'll probably just get a bruise. But that was a tough realization, to be like, why is it hurting still? Yeah.
Like, this is what I signed up for.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So I was a bit naive in that, sense. An absolute idiot.
Do you think it makes you tougher, like being a stunt person?
I don't know.
Like, if you have a stack on your bike, or, you know, whatever, when you're just in your normal life, have a stack, you're just like, I'm good, you know, like I do this all the time at work.
Yeah. I don't know if I was ever not like that, because I think dancers are quite tough in general. You know?
Especially when you're sporty, because, you know, swimming and stuff, like, you're used to being, you know, muscle fatigue and like sort of burning your body out or whatever it is. Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that I'm the toughest person, you know. I don't feel like I am. Right. I kind of just, you know, I kind of feel like I'm just a normal level of toughness.
Right. But I feel like every stunt performer though must have, you know, even if you don't feel like that, but you have like a quiet strength just to be able to do what you do repetitively, you know, and then go back for more on the next job. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because not everyone's cut out for that. Do you know what I mean? Like being biffed or being spanked, you know, like,
for sure.
and then being like, I want more. You know, like, oh, I'll do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't actually know anyone who's like, I love getting hurt.
No,
you know,
of course not. Yeah.
I think you do those stunts so that you can do the other ones that are a bit more enjoyable. You know? But then at the same time, I mean, some people, you know, I know that there's one girl in particular, Sarah Lachlan, who is just so insane at car hits. You know, she's just, every time she does any sort of, I mean, for me personally, she takes the hardest hits, and she is just phenomenal at them. You know.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know what her mentality is, whether she loves it or not. But she's so good at it, you know. It's just, I don't know, she's amazing. But yeah, I don't know if I know anyone who is like, yeah, I can't wait to
really
get spanked again.
Yeah.
You just sort of, it's just part of the job, you know.
Yeah. Just an acceptance.
Maybe they are like that and I don't realize it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like getting hurt. It's just sort of, that's what it is, and then you go and do something another day where it's just fighting and you're not going to get as hurt. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes
totally.
sense. Yeah.
On that note, what does an average day in the life of a stunt woman look like?
It depends on the day, really. On a big day, you'd start really early, so sometimes you're in the chair at 4:30, 5. To get your makeup and wig and everything done, into costume and then on set. And it just depends on the day. If it's a big day of fighting, you're basically just on set all day. They bring you lunch on set so that you can eat between takes or whatever. But it is long days, really long days. So you're usually at work maybe 15 hours, which is crazy because you spend more time at work than you do with your family. But yeah, it's hard to say. It just sort of depends. You could be doing a fight one day, or maybe one day you're prepping for, you know, someone's doing a high fall or something. So then you're helping move mats or boxes or whatever. I don't know. It's
yeah, and it sort of depends, like pre-shooting and during shooting and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For rehearsals, you just sort of all day you're, you know, trying to figure out fights or trying to figure out how this gag is going to work, or you know, going to locations to walk out the fight, or training actors, or, you know, it's very varied. I think that's why it's such a great job, because every day is a new challenge, you know, and it is something different every single day, which is awesome. That's the part of the job I love. You know, it's sort of, it's very challenging.
New.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Did I ask you already? Yeah, you haven't really done a scary stunt. Like, you've never felt sort of unsafe during a stunt.
I don't think I've ever
on
felt
set.
unsafe, but I am someone who will say no to things. Or if I do feel unsafe, I'll ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm probably very annoying.
Or smart.
Don't know. But you know, I think I've never been on a job where I didn't trust the coordinator.
Yeah.
So there's always a trust between you and the coordinator or the riggers, and I've always been able to trust them and know that they want me to come out of this not broken.
In one piece.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything that I've felt was unsafe. But yeah, and like I said, just things that are a bit scary, you just sort of suck it up.
Yeah.
This is the job, got to get through it.
Visualize it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So when you're on a job, I know, like, well, between jobs, do you maintain like your training regime and I don't know, like, what's your training regime? Like, you know, I always think like Rocky montage, like dun dun
Yeah.
dun, like lifting weights, doing cartwils, handstands, like I am stunt woman.
Cartwheels with weights.
Yeah. Your
No,
daughter on your back,
yeah.
like push ups.
Yeah. No, I don't know. It sort of varies. It depends where I'm at with my body and whether I'm feeling, you know, do I feel strong still, or do I feel like I need to up this, up that, or whatever.
Yeah.
It just sort of depends. I'm big on injury prevention.
Yeah.
So I do that while I'm working as well. So I sort of always focus on that. But then every now and then I'll, you know, I want to lift weights or whatever. But then you're always sort of practicing kicks and your fight work, and that is just something that you just always have to train, which is difficult when you are working because it's hard to sort of get time to do that.
Yeah.
So usually between jobs I try and focus on that. But yeah, I don't know if there's a specific training thing that I do. I just sort of see how my body's feeling, and if I need to rest, then I'll rest and I won't do anything, you know, which sometimes is super, like really beneficial.
Yeah.
You know, not just for your body, but for your mind as well.
Big
just
time.
to chill out and not do anything.
Yeah.
And then when I feel ready, right, get back into it, it's go time, you know.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that sounds really bad or lazy, but sometimes it's just what
Not
I
at
need.
all. I think like you know, like so many people talk about recovery is as important as training.
For sure.
Like
yeah.
sauna is one of my favorite things
Yeah.
in the world. Like I love the sauna and the spa, you know, and I'm like, yes, this is me recovering. Like this is necessary. But it really is, because you do this, your muscles need time to grow for starters.
Yeah.
But you know, like that's how you gain strength, obviously, is when your muscles are growing. Yeah.
And mental health is important too, you know. It's easy to get burnt out mentally.
Yeah.
For sure. And especially when you're working so many hours and, you know, you're away from your family and everything. It's, I think the mental burnout is more sort of prominent than the physical burnout, for sure.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Well, for me anyway.
Yeah. No, but I'm sure a lot of people would relate to that. I mean, like, I feel like that just in juggling life as a creative and having a family and stuff. Like sometimes your brain is just so full that you're just like,
for sure.
Oh, I need to just sit in silence for like half an hour to come back to level. Because, you know, I think like sometimes with our brain it's like up and down and this and that and with kids and da-da-da-da.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, you're a mum.
I am a
You have a
mum.
daughter.
Yeah.
We love your daughter. So did you do, I know before you said that you got pregnant, and so that sort of like put on hold your training to get into stunts, but did you do any performing or training while you were pregnant, or were you chilling? Like, were you on the Gold Coast when you were pregnant?
No, I was actually in England for a lot of it, for a lot of my pregnancy.
Yeah.
So I chilled most of my pregnancy. I did not work out. I wasn't, I mean, I didn't know what a workout was back then anyway, because as a dancer, I didn't really work out.
Right. Yeah, because dance is the workout. So
Exactly.
we take it for granted. Yeah, but it is,
Yeah. So I didn't actually do anything. I took the time. I read all day,
to just sit
every
drinks
day.
on your pregnant belly and like bowls of cereal.
Exactly. Yeah.
Read books on leaning it on the belly.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah,
I just really enjoyed my pregnancy, you know, and I remember I was going through like a book a day. And I just thought, this is the dream life.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah. And then after that, it was like, this is over.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really do anything during my pregnancy.
Yeah.
I think, but I was very fortunate in that I didn't have to.
Need to.
Yeah. I was on maternity leave, so I was still getting paid.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. And so how was your transition like into motherhood? I guess, especially being a physical performer, like how did you find, you know, I hate saying like bouncing back, but, you know, coming back to training, how long was it sort of after you gave birth that you're like, okay, I want to start getting into stunts now? Because you were in England, or were you back in Australia?
Back in Australia.
Because you gave birth in Australia.
Yeah.
So what was that sort of transitional period, and how did it go, like physically? What was your...
I don't think... I mean, I was back at ballet, teaching ballet 9 days after she was born.
Wow.
Yeah,
amazing.
so I don't think it took me long to just sort of get going again.
Yeah.
But I had a pretty easy birth. I think I was lucky in that sense. You know, there weren't any complications or anything like that. So yeah, I found it quite easy just to sort of get back into it.
Yeah.
And then I broke my wrist.
Right.
So that was a little more difficult.
Yeah.
Especially breastfeeding and with a broken
Oh my
wrist.
gosh.
It was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
nightmare. But yeah, to be honest, I actually feel stronger post-birth
Right.
and better in my body than I ever did before giving birth. Yeah, and especially the last few years, I feel like every year that goes by, I feel like I'm getting stronger and loving my body more, you know. It's,
That's amazing. I love that. It's so positive, and it's just awesome to think that way about your body. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like, yeah.
Maybe it's an age thing though, because I think
True.
before I didn't appreciate what it
Right.
does, but now,
Yeah.
you know, I go for a run and I really appreciate the fact that I can challenge myself like this. Or if we go
Yeah.
hiking,
Yeah.
I want to get up that mountain as quick as I can because I just feel really grateful that my body is able to do
It's
this.
able. Yeah.
And maybe it's an age thing, and maybe I'm not stronger than I was before, but I just appreciate
Appreciation.
it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get
yeah.
that, but I feel like there's also something to be said for when you do start in the physical arts young, it's like you have all this muscle memory. Because I know for me, like each time I've got 2 kids, so after each birth, I feel like because of that, it was easier to kind of get back
Yeah.
on the exercise bandwagon because you have all this, like, you know how it works and you know how your body works and you know how to get in shape. And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And
For
I
sure.
relate to that, like feeling stronger, but certainly in the like accepting your
Yeah.
body and having that, like, I remember when I got into running actually after my first was born, and I'd never run before, you know, like except for in school, like
Yeah.
cross country running or whatever. But just being like, just loving running, just being like, oh my God, this is so fun. Like, I can run. Like, oh my God, I can run. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that
yeah.
joy in my body is like a
Can do this.
machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
It's like
yeah.
marveling at the fact. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
I'm so impressed that you enjoy running. That's,
Yeah.
that's
I
one
mean,
thing I'm jealous of. I've never enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, it's got to be said, right now I haven't been very good at running, but I'm always like, I've got to get back into running because I like middle distances, like 5 to 10K.
Yeah.
It's like nice. Yeah.
It's, yeah, marathon is not really an
Nah.
enjoyable distance for
No.
most people. Yeah.
I don't know why people do them, honestly. Yeah, but, you know, each to their own. So how have you found, you know, I know you're away a lot with your job. How have you found, like, managing, you know, particularly because your daughter, she's still pretty little, she's 9. How has that been for you, you know, when you're away and, like, just managing, like we all know about mother's guilt and, like, missing your little one and, you know, keeping that communication up. And then she's also got her life that you're trying to micromanage, you know, like homework, school, friends, like being there. How's that been for you?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said it was easy. It's difficult, you know, because you make so many sacrifices, don't you? You sort of, in my career, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices, and in motherhood, I've had to make a lot of sacrifices. But mother's guilt is just
Rampant.
yeah. It's crazy. But traveling, I think, is the worst for me, and that's definitely when I don't feel like myself. Whenever I have to go away, I just get so down. I find it so difficult. I wish that I could just let go.
Has she ever been able to come with you on a job, like when you've been away?
When she was really little, she could.
Yeah.
But as she's gotten older, she's got school, and you know, and it's
harder
never
to take her out of school. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So it's always been a little bit difficult. So I've always tried to sort of, you know, I'm away and I'm trying to be grateful for, you know, that I've got this job to pay for her life. But then at the same time, I'm paying for a life that I'm missing out on, you know, and which is what every parent does. I know that. But it can be really tough. But she's so resilient, you know. She's been so resilient through everything, and you know, she's just a happy kid, and I don't think it affects her as much as it affects me.
I feel like that's often the way, like the mums are like bawling their eyes out, like, oh my God, the kid's just like, Oh, is mum gone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hanging out with my friends. Yeah.
She hasn't been here for weeks. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But for us, it's like, it's just, and she's constantly there. And I'm definitely not myself when I haven't seen her in a while. I find that really difficult. But I think just making the most of the time that you do have, you know, and between jobs, I definitely, I try to find a balance. So I actually say no to a lot of jobs between big jobs. So if I've just come off, you know, a really long run, I usually take time off just to be with her, you know, do all the school runs, do everything, just be there. Because it, you know, I just feel like I have to try and find a balance somewhere. And I know that it's detrimental for my career, and I understand that, but I also have to remember that she's not going to be this age forever, you know, and I want to be able to be there when I can, you know, so definitely I've had to make a lot of sacrifices for sure, which is always tough, but, you know, but then seeing her, she's doing great, you know, she's really happy, and, so I don't know, but it is difficult because you're kind of at work and you're trying to focus on stunts, and then you're like, oh, Ari's got a play date this weekend, I've got to try and organise this.
And
I've
got a message of the party or whatever.
And then, you got to make sure that you've got this for school tomorrow, and you've got piano lessons, you've got this. So you kind of, it's just constant all day trying to sort everything out, which is fine. I wouldn't change it for the world, but it is quite exhausting, you know. And so it's, and like we were saying before, when you come home, you just need to just zombie out for a bit, or after a job, I just need to like chill, not do anything.
But then the kids jumping all over you, and they're like, oh, Mummy, look what I did at school today. Like because you've got a girl, I've got two girls, but they love to talk, and like they don't stop talking. And sometimes you're just like, okay, you can't, you know, of course we wouldn't change it, but sometimes you're just like, by the time you make it to bed, it's just like, thank God. You know, like, oh my God, thank God I get to go to bed now. Like I can't, I've got not even a millimetre of energy left.
And then they're sick in the night, so then you're up in a couple hours.
Or they're winning the bed, or
exactly.
up at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
No, but I don't know, I feel it's hard, isn't it? Because I feel so grateful for it, but we're kind of that generation where it's you know, you're told, oh, you can have the best of both worlds.
But
you
can actually, do it all.
Exactly. But actually, it's very difficult, and
it is. It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a big demand to do it all, like to further your career and be a mum who's present. You know, because that's the choice. You know, I feel like we're similar in that way. Like we both want to be there. For our kids.
Exactly.
Do you have any regrets about like jobs that you've turned down that you were like, oh, damn it, I wish I'd done that?
Not that I remember. I mean, there's a couple of jobs that I wish I had done, but I don't know. I don't think about it too much, because then I know that, you know, I got to see Aria at a piano concert, so it kind of just you know, is out of my mind. So maybe yes, but really no, because I needed that time, and after a long run, I think it may even be more for me than her, but I need to be there for her. You know, I need to be doing the school runs again, and waking her up and giving her breakfast, and you know, it's so no, I don't think it's anything really that I regret. I try not to regret anything in life, really. You know, I feel like everything is a lesson, isn't it? Even mistakes that you make, these are all lessons, and
I totally relate to that, because I feel the same. And I think when you know, like make clear decisions and create clear boundaries about like the type of parent you want to be and the type of career woman you want to be, then it also lends itself to not having regret, because you're like, I choose this. I want to be there for my kids, and that outweighs saying yes again to another job, or you know, another stint in another country or whatever. So I totally relate to that, and I think that's I mean, you know, I guess there's so many mums / career women, everyone has a different approach, but we're always trying to find that happy medium between the two, because it's important to feel fulfilled in your career and your passions, but then also as a mum, because there's beauty in that connection with our
Yeah,
children. Like it's
for
so
sure.
special, and it goes in the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
they
Yeah.
grow up so quickly.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
you feel about your girls, but I can't believe that Ari is 9.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Oh yeah, I know. My
insane.
eldest is going to high school
Yeah.
next year, which is just, it makes me feel old. You know, I'm like, oh my God, where did the last 10 years go? Because
Yeah.
literally it was just like a decade just, you know, like he was my life, and then 10 years just went, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
now I'm in my 40s
Wait a
and
minute.
like
Yeah.
life is starting again.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's wild.
I definitely don't feel like an adult still sometimes.
Yeah.
I kind of still feel like I'm pretending. You know?
Yeah.
Don't know. I don't know how to do these things, or
Yeah.
and a lot of it's sort of guesswork, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're sort of trying to make sure you make the right choices, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Oh, that is motherhood in a nutshell. Like
Yeah.
winging it. I remember
Yeah.
thinking that, like when I came out of the hospital with my firstborn, you know, firstly I had an emergency cesarean, but I remember walking out and like my husband and I looked at each other and we were kind of like, do we have to pay for like all the care? Because, you know, I had like a private room, like I was in a public hospital,
Yeah.
but because I'd had this emergency cesarean, I had like this whole room, and then it was just like, and nobody says like, this is how you look after a baby,
Yeah.
or like this is how you care for a child. You're just walking
What do I
out
do
and
with
just
it
like,
now?
okay, just got to hope for the best. Like,
Yeah.
stay alive, little one.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, there's no manual.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
there's books everywhere, and you can read every book.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll read something and go, oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. And I'll try to implement that into my own life. And I'm like, that is not working.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that is BS.
Exactly.
Whoever wrote that book is a liar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is just trying to figure out what works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, you know, trying to not mess up your children.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
Right.
trying to keep them happy but safe, and, you know, it's, it's difficult to navigate.
Entertained and
Yeah.
have friends and confident and
Yeah.
smart and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. Do you think motherhood has helped you be more organised in life
No.
because you're like forced into it, or do you think it's just more craziness and everything is just like chaos all the time?
I mean, I think to a certain extent I'm more organised, but it does feel like it's always chaos, you know.
Yes. Just let it be known.
Yeah.
Motherhood is constant chaos.
It is, isn't
Parenthood.
it?
Yeah.
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 I mean, you try to really be organised, and, you know, I mean, I have ADHD, so trying to be organised is like my life's goal.
Yeah.
But then when you're trying to be organised for another human as
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
plus then, you know, with my fiance,
Yeah.
as a family, we're trying to be organised, and
Yeah.
it's just I always feel like I'm dropping the ball all the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Spanner in the works.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Every couple of hours. Yeah.
Yeah. And someone would call and be like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't got
yeah.
time."
No time.
You know,
yeah,
exactly.
No mental capacity.
Yeah.
I'm at the limit. I'm at the brink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, I think it is still chaos, but slightly more organised chaos.
Yeah.
Maybe because you know you have to make sure that they get to school on time.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I get her to school on time. I know I can do
Yeah.
that. But you know everything else is kind of like, get this in the car. Go. Yeah.
Do you do that? Because I feel like that some of the other mums kind of pay me out because I'm always that mum that's like, you know, like in the mums WhatsApp chat group, and you know I'm like, oh, is that, you know, it's like the school concert today or the trip, or like, so yesterday was a classic. So we get to school and apparently my little one is going to the zoo that day.
Oh.
And I was like thank goodness I always give her a packed lunch anyway. She doesn't eat school dinners. But, you know, they're all dressed in their trainers and everything. Here I come and she's just in her normal, like, school shoes and stuff. I was like,
bless.
I'm just always that mum that has no idea. Even though I paid for that trip, but
Yeah.
for whatever reason I forgot to put it in the diary. So
Yeah.
on the actual day, like, she was like, I'm going to the zoo today. And I was like, are you? No, but I haven't heard anything about it. And then we get to school and they're going to the zoo. I was like, oh, gosh.
Oh, bless. I think that happens
Impossible
all the
to remember.
time. I think it happens to every parent. You know, you can't always be perfect, can you?
No.
As much
far
as you
from.
try, there's always going to be something like,
Yeah.
But then again, the mother's guilt comes in because you're like, I should have known this.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
yeah. But actually, the reality is that you got to drop the ball sometimes, and that's life. And I've sort of come to accept that I can
Yeah.
only do the best that I can do,
Yeah.
and I'm constantly trying so hard
Yeah.
to remember everything, to do everything. But
Yeah.
if I miss something, then I just have to, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
We all do, right? You've got to
Yeah.
make peace with.
Yeah.
I just sort of embrace the running joke now that I'm always like
Yeah.
texting the group. I'm like, is there anything I need to remember?
Yeah.
You know, like for today on a
Anything
Monday.
this week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, is there anything I should know about?
Yeah.
Or be reminded about?
Yeah.
Rather. Yeah.
Can someone call me if there's another school
Yeah.
thing, please? Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have. There is a mum who like usually texts me the night before, like, you do realise that this is tomorrow, or
Oh,
you know,
bless.
like, remember that there's sports day tomorrow, or whatever. And I'm like, thank you so much.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Classic. Okay, so as a woman who works in entertainment and who has done for 15 years, 20 years, how long has it been now?
That makes me really old.
Yeah, it's been 20 something years for me. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
that makes me feel old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think maybe 17 years. I think 15 was my first professional job. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, about 15 years. Yeah.
Okay. So as a woman who's worked in entertainment for about 15 years, what have been the most positive things about being in entertainment and or the most challenging things?
Positive. I mean, I guess positive, you get to do something that you love, you know. We're very lucky in this industry in that we get to go to work every day and just do something that we genuinely enjoy, you know, because I don't think you'd put yourself through it if you didn't enjoy it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think just being creative and feeling fulfillment in that way is, you know, it's what's addictive about it, I think, you know.
Yeah.
But also, and in stunts is being challenged. You know, you're always learning something, because I love learning. I love learning new things, you know, with reading books. And I know that you're the same. You just constantly trying to gain new knowledge, and that's what stunts kind of is, because every job that you do, you always learn something new.
It's unique.
Yeah. Like especially the last few jobs, I've learned so much, you know, and whether it's a different style of fighting or whatever, you kind of, I think I like that, the constant challenges and learning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had anything, just in particular, from a woman's perspective, like have you ever experienced sexism or like felt belittled or felt like, oh, someone's just talking down to me just because I'm a woman, or like treated you like you're less than or anything like that? Has your experience been overall like really good?
Yeah, I think I've been very lucky. And if I haven't noticed it.
Yeah.
But I think also I'm quite sort of, my fiance says that I'm too blunt with the way that I speak.
Really?
Yeah. So I've always just sort of spoken my mind.
Yeah.
And so if people like it or they don't, then
He's
that's
English,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, because
Yeah.
I think the English aren't very direct.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah, it must
contrast-
be an Australian thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just sort of, I say whatever it is that I think, but I haven't ever felt like I couldn't be like that because I'm a woman, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the people that I've worked with, but I've you know, I think I've been very lucky in that sense. I have heard of other people not being as lucky, but my experience personally,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have been, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been, for the most part, appreciated for what I bring to the table, and
Yeah.
or if I don't bring anything to the table, being told that I don't bring anything to the table.
Yeah.
Which is true, you know.
Yeah. And you just take that as it, like, you don't come across as someone who gets very defensive, because you've got the learning sort of outlook. So if someone gives you a critique, you're like, okay, I'm going to work on that and I'm going to get better. And
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it always hurts, doesn't it?
Of course.
If someone
Yeah,
says
yeah.
you're
I'll
not
be
very
fine.
good at this, yeah. There's always that part of you that's like dies a little bit inside.
Yeah.
But once you get past that, and it maybe, I mean, I'm a crier, so I
Yeah.
will usually go and have a cry,
Yeah.
and then come back and sort of not take it personally and go, okay, that was a lesson. And
Yeah.
I will learn something and I'll be better for it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, criticism, it's not an easy thing to take. But for me personally, if someone has the courage to say to somebody, this isn't good enough, then that means that they care, you know? That's what I think, because that's the way
Yeah.
that I am. If I'm telling you
Yeah.
the truth,
Otherwise, they'd let you make a fool of yourself
Exactly.
and then lose the job or whatever.
100%.
Yeah.
So for me, if criticism and everything, it shows that someone respects me and sort of likes me enough to trust that if they say that to me, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, you're really bad at this.
Yeah. Like on the defense.
But exactly. But it's not to say that it doesn't hurt a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thing to say too. That it takes courage also to be the one who says to someone that that's not good enough, because I have been in that position too. On different jobs or whatever, and it's kind of awkward when you have to be the one who says like, mate, you got to pull your finger out your ass. Yeah, like
exactly.
This isn't. Yeah. So I get that. I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about that. They just, I think a lot of people assume like, oh, it's easy to be the one who's like being mad about something or being, like calling people out. But actually, both sides have their challenges.
For sure. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Oh.
Yeah. Have you had any like major conflict, or because stunts is a very male dominated industry, like there's a lot more male stunt performers than female stunt performers. Have you ever had any major tiffs or conflicts or anything like that, like on or off set? Disagreements?
I've had disagreements because like I said, if I feel that something's right, I'll stand for it.
Do people go and like punch the fake set, pull out the fake gun and be like, phew, fuck you?
Not that
like,
I've seen.
Steam off.
No.
I mean, to like let off
really.
steam, you know, like be like, okay, we can agree to disagree, and then just like punch something on the way out.
I've heard stories of it, but I personally haven't seen that.
Yeah.
But you can't really. You hear stories about it, but I don't know how true they are.
Pull your wig off, stamp on it on the floor, like fine.
Yeah, super dramatic. No, I haven't seen any of that. I wish that I had. I wish I had a cool story about something like that.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Maybe you should just make up some stories.
Yeah,
be like,
just
oh
about
yeah,
me.
once like.
Yeah, and I stormed off stage and
I pulled off my Wonder Woman crown and like threw it across the set and was like, that's not good enough.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I haven't seen anything like that. No,
was there ever anything like that at the Moulin Rouge? Like someone having a big tiff?
No, I mean, some girls sort of got into it with each other, but
oh, like a fight? Like was there ever like a scrag fight?
No, nothing like that. I've never actually witnessed anybody really hitting each other properly.
Right.
Even just sort of in real life, I've never I don't think I've actually seen someone intentionally punch somebody unless it was MMA or something. But anything like that, I don't think I've actually ever seen that. Now I've just thought about it. But no, I haven't really witnessed anything like that on set. But I think again, I've just been really lucky in my career that I've just been with really cool crews and amazing teams, and I've been really fortunate in that sense. But you always, and also like it when you're with somebody for 15 hours a day, and my friend recently pointed this out to me, he said, you're like family, so of course you're going to fight, and we're going to get cranky at each other, and you're going to lose your temper or whatever. You have a good day, you have a bad day, but at the end of the day, if there's still respect there, then you'll come together and figure out and talk about it, and so that does happen. You're always going to have disagreements, but it's just part of life, and as long as you make sure that you still respect their opinion and everything, then for me, I don't think that's a big deal.
You can always overcome like obstacles and disagreements. Yeah, because it's not normal to spend so many hours with anyone. Doesn't matter like how close you are. Your best friend you would get sick of. After spending, do you know what I mean? Like, that's true. Same with our kids, same with our partners. Like 100%. It's not normal to just be with one or a group of people for like hours and hours and not, for it to be like smooth and perfect all the time.
Exactly. But so I wouldn't say that anything was very dramatic. I haven't got anything interesting in that sense. I'm sorry.
Damn it! I wanted some like juicy like tantrums to laugh about. But I also feel like your personality is quite, like accommodating's not the right word, but you're easygoing. I feel like attracts like. So when you sort of put out a certain energy, then I think you naturally people of similar energy gravitate towards you. So it makes sense.
Oh, I
'cause
don't know.
feel like
I think
don't come
people find me
across
quite annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
How's
That's what Andy says anyway.
Yeah, but he's your partner, so
Yeah.
of course we all find our partners annoying.
No, I think I am. I don't know. I wouldn't say. I mean, I'm not going to say that I've been perfect all the time ever.
I wouldn't believe you
know.
anyway if you did.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
anyone who says that they're, like they don't have any flaws or don't know their flaws, you got to
No, it's
start
definitely
questioning, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely learn a lot about your personality, I think, in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And I've definitely found out that I can be quite annoying.
Yeah.
I think it's just because if I think something, I say it, and then afterwards I'm like, why did I say that?
Right.
I didn't need to say that,
Yeah.
And so that's something I've been trying to deal with and overcome.
Yeah. Oh, we all do that. I do that constantly. I feel like it's almost more of a challenge to like not sort of analyze, like any sort of event or like, asking yourself like, oh, was I too obnoxious last night?
Yeah.
Or was I like too
Yeah.
confident, or did I not let other people talk enough, or like was I too quiet?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your
Yeah.
inner monologue and
time.
dialogue can get in the way
For
if you
sure,
allow it to. I think too much.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, do you have any other future aspirations, or what do you still want to achieve, either in stunts or then outside of stunts? Because you're still obviously very young. But are there things that you're like, oh, I want to do this stunt or like this kind of movie, or I don't know, work with this person, or maybe there's other hobbies that you have that you're like, I really want to do this. Like what's next for Christiaan?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I kind of I know there are things that I want to do. I feel like if I talk about them too much, they won't happen.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm like, just keep on the down low until
Yeah.
I'm actually doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of my stunt career, I think I've done so much, and especially that I wanted to do. I kind of was very fortunate in that I did that very early in my career. I've been able to double the most wonderful women, and such sort of contrasting characters, which is, been really fortunate in that sense. And I got to double my childhood hero, and so a lot
Who
of
was
my
your childhood hero?
Uma Thurman.
Oh, you got to double her. Awesome.
Yeah.
What was that in?
Old Guard 2 hasn't come out yet.
Okay. Oh, are we allowed to talk about it?
It's on IMDb. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay.
So, there's so many things, and
So that's like tick.
yeah. So I have been really fortunate in that sense. There's nothing really else that I'm like, oh, I'd like to do this particular stunt. I want to keep getting better. There's lots of things that I want to get better at. So I don't feel like I've finished in that sense, because but you're never going to be the best, are you? There's always going to be somebody better or someone, whatever. But I think, to keep striving for that, it's sort of what keeps you going, isn't it? Like I know that I can do this better, so I want to make sure that before the end of my career, I get an opportunity to do that better,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really sure what's going to happen after performing.
Do you like doing more like fighting choreography, or do you like doing like more like wire work or bigger stunts, or is it just the combination, like how it changes all the time, that you like the most, like everything equally? Or do you have like a particular thing that you just love doing, like, yes, I can't wait to do that?
I think I really like fighting. I really enjoy fighting, just because there's so many different styles, and like I said before, every movie is a different style, so you sort of you're having to change the way that you move for that particular character. So that I really enjoy, and then I do enjoy wire work a lot. I love I love being in a wire. There's something really freeing about being in the air, But yeah, I'd say that those two are my two favorite things to do. Yeah, for sure. I'm not, I don't want to jump out of an aeroplane.
Right.
It's not my forte, and there's people who are so good at it that they should be the ones doing
it.
You know,
What about like driving or like any motorsports or anything like that? Is that not really your thing either?
Well, I don't ride motorbikes. That's been something I think because my mum was always very, you'll never ride a motorbike, don't get a motorbike. So that was never
don't get yourself killed. Yeah.
That was never something that I sort of aspired to do.
Yeah.
But driving, I mean, I do really enjoy driving, but again, there's people who are so good at it, you know, and even if I trained for the next 5 years, I don't know if I would ever be as good as those people.
Yeah.
And for them, for a lot of them, that's all that they do. So for me personally, I would prefer for you to do it because you're really, really good at it.
Yeah.
And I'll just do little bits here and there, you know, and so I think the fighting and wire work, that's what I enjoy the most, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I've got 2 more questions for you. Do you have, this is going to sound random, do you have any funny other little like hobbies like roller skating or hula hooping or things that you like to do? I feel like at one point you did makeup or something like makeup tutorials. Was that a thing for a bit, or am I just totally making that up?
Yeah, I did. After I had my daughter, I was, you know, I kind of went through that stage of, I need some money. So I basically taught myself how to do makeup and photography and things, and started doing, you know, photo shoots for people. But it was just sort of to try and get some money in, and something that I found that I could do while training. So, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't roller skate. What do I do? I don't know. My ultimate downtime is just sitting with a book, if I'm honest, which isn't very interesting, especially on a podcast. At first,
but I relate. I'm a big bibliophile right here.
Yeah.
But favourite pastime.
I mean, hiking and reading are my favourite things to do.
Hiking's ace.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Especially over here. I mean, I love the landscape here.
It's incredible. Yeah. Just being on a mountain. Yeah. And driving through mountains, I always feel there's something that sort of, I don't know.
Yeah.
You feel it inside you, don't you?
That's that feeling of awe. You know, they talk about that's like really good for mental health.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I love that.
But no, I don't think there's anything interesting.
Drawing, painting, collaging.
No.
I craft.
Oh, I do like to craft though. I love crafting. Yeah. No, I don't really do anything like that, I don't think. Do I? Unless I do and I just can't think of it. Maybe I do. I bet I'll think of it later and be like, oh, I should have said that.
Yeah. I actually do noodle necklaces. Yeah.
Oh, I have a business.
I
should have my business.
Like, what else? I love just trying to think of like random crafting things you can do, like noodle necklacing, or, you know, like I make collages with rice. And, you know,
oh, do you?
No, I don't.
Oh,
but I like just
amazing.
thinking of random things to say, like to crack people up.
No, I don't think there's anything that I do really. Apart from just
I braid dog hair. Sorry, I'm just like brainstorming now in my head. Okay, so last question: what advice would you give to someone who wants to get into either the Moulin Rouge or into stunts? Particularly, I guess, a young woman. If there was a young woman listening to this, what advice would you give?
I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to give advice on either thing.
Well, what has helped you? Because obviously you've got a wealth of experience now. So I don't know, anything that comes to mind that you think like, I'm really glad that I, you know, whether it was maintaining like a regime, you know, fitness, or like I was multidisciplinary, or what do you think like has helped you sort of along your journey? Even if it's like an outlook, like a mindset, or...
I mean, definitely in terms of stunts, I think just doing anything and everything physical, you know, and I think anything helps. You know, I know people who got into stunts from rugby, you know. So I think in that sense, just being physical and, you know, figuring out what your body can do and also what your body is best at. That's a huge thing. But, I mean... stunts is just a range of things, and especially for the register, if you are training for the register, it's sort of it's laid out very sort of plainly on what you need to do. So I don't know if I'm the best person to say this is what you should do. Because, you know, I think that the register is pretty good at saying this is what we expect from our stunt performers, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I am on the register. I don't want there to be any
but I mean, there's
misconceptions,
other
but
things
it's-
that come in, because I guess you can obviously like train to do a martial art or specialize in vehicles or, you know, with a weapon or whatever it is. But do you think there's anything like, I don't know, because I always feel like people who get particularly involved in sports from a young age, there's a certain like determination and drive, because, you know, I mean, I don't know if you notice this as a mum, but like some kids just have more like commitment to the thing that they're passionate about, maybe than others. But
I
don't
think
know,
every
what do you
kid is
feel?
passionate. You know, if they are passionate about something, that's what they want to do. Yeah. But yeah, I think in this industry, it's I mean, you have to be passionate about it, especially stunts, because it takes up your whole life. You know, and it's and if you don't love it and you're on set 15 hours a day doing something that you don't love, then it can be pretty brutal on the mind.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think mindset just sort of, you always have to work hard. You know, coming into the industry thinking, you know, I was really good at this, I don't have to work hard at it anymore. The reality is there's always going to be somebody better. And if you're not willing to work hard, then they're going to find somebody who is to replace you, you know. And, you know, I mean, I think everybody sort of knows that, but it is a very physically demanding job. So you have to be ready to put in the effort, you know, because otherwise there'll be someone who would kill to be in the position that you're in, you
True
know.
statement.
And being grateful, I think that's a big thing. Just, you know, we're so lucky to do what we do in any capacity, whether you're a stunt performer or just a part of the film industry in general. I mean, so I think it's important to just be really grateful. You know, I know that I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for everybody around me, you know. I'm grateful for anyone who's ever taught me anything in this industry, because I wouldn't be the person I am without those people, you know. So, but maybe that sounds a bit preachy though.
Not at all. Not
I
at
don't
all.
know.
No, I think it's a good reminder, because it, and I mean, you know, I guess we could say like, oh, people always say those things, but it is true. I think that like in entertainment, the more humble you are, like the more opportunities come your way, and then combine that with having a good skill set and, you know, being easy to work with, like working hard,
For sure.
you know, being, you know, appreciative of how good we have it.
Exactly.
Like,
We're so fortunate. We're so fortunate.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, that's sort of, I mean, but that's just something that I try to sort of always try to remind myself. Are you really acting like you're grateful right now, or are you being a bit of a brat because you haven't had lunch? You know.
Yeah. that is a thing though. I was talking about that last night, like how there was this funny meme going around the internet, and it's like just focuses on this guy, and there's like this woman's voice that she's slightly off camera, and she's like going, oh look, I think this relationship is over, like we're gonna get a divorce, like it's just not happening. And the guy's like, okay, so you need like some hot chips, you need some rice and vegetables. And she's like, no, you're not listening. Like, this relationship's over, but he's like learned, like, okay, she's just hungry. That's why it's like all big drama, like the world is over. So sometimes it just is that you're hungry.
Exactly.
Or you're tired. I do it with like tiredness, like especially if I feel like I'm being really cranky with my kids. I'm like, it's not them. I'm actually just really tired.
Exactly.
And I say to them now, I've learned, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but Mummy's just really tired. That's why my fuse is really short right now. It's that awareness, I guess, isn't it? Like self-aware, like, is this really happening, or am I hungry? Am I tired?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it happens all the time, isn't it? I like that you apologise to your kids too.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Yeah, same.
All the time.
It's so important, isn't it?
I'm imperfect. I think it's also healthy for them to hear and see that I'm like, I'm not perfect, and I'm really sorry, and I will do better, so that it allows them to. It gives them license to be like, okay, so if I mess up, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
I just need to acknowledge when I'm tired or hungry.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes, you know, be willing
Yeah.
to like,
Yeah.
because you know, yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother tangent, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
But yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you for having
we'll
me.
wrap it there.
Thank you.
Audience applause.
I love you.
Awesome.
The greatest showwoman.